TCK. Well, howdy there, internet friends, and welcome back again. It's Thursday, my dudes, and you know what that means. It is time for a little bit of Kai Plays. Continuing on this week, we've got a little bit more of Final Fantasy IV. As you may recall from where we left off our last segment, tragically, the twins Palom and Porum are no longer a part of our adventuring party. In order to escape from the collapsing tunnels of Barren Castle, they cast break upon themselves and turned themselves to stone. And despite Tella's best efforts, they could not be revived. We have with us now the new temporary party member, Cid, who has gifted us with his airship, and we have just completed our flight from the Archfiend of Water, and we're moving on to the land of Earth. Going to be just a moment here while I get things set up. I appreciate your patience. Please enjoy our stream idle in the meantime, and if you haven't already, please do go ahead and have a look at the link in the notes underneath the live stream, because that does go to support our current fundraising activities. Thank you so much. All right, and we are live. Now, typically when I get a new party member, I would have done a little bit of leveling off screen. Unfortunately, it has been something of a busy and hectic week here, so I haven't been afforded the opportunity. So we're going to have just a moment or two of getting accustomed to Cid and refreshing my memory on exactly what it is that he does. He comes equipped by default, I see, with a wooden hammer and prison garb. Undoubtedly, with 2 defense and 1 magic defense, not an exceptionally helpful garment. Let's see. Although I do recall in the last town that we visited, we could buy Gaia gear. So I think perhaps we may double back and have a look at that. But first, having a look at his stats, I see 22 strength and 23 stamina, good 90 accuracy and 55 attack. Compare that to Cecil with his 30 strength and 30 stamina and 40 attack. Or with Young's 29, 30, and 46. So he definitely seems like he fits right in with the melee characters, especially with an intellect and spirit of 5. So we're going to want to make sure that we have him in a row which is at the front of the party. And so the best way I think to do that, since we currently have 3 front laners and 1 back laner, would be to, let's see, invert the rows. And do it like that. Yeah, okay. That way Tella's at the back row, everybody else is in the front row. Now let's have a look at Cid's abilities real quick, shall we? He comes equipped with Analyze and Upgrade. Analyze determines the status of all enemies. That looks like Super Libra, which looks really nice. Upgrade, use items to change weapons damage type. Ah, okay, so we actually just sold things like our Bomb Core and Arctic Wind and things like that, but it seems like he could have used those to do elemental damage with his melee attacks, which, depending on the elemental resistances of the enemies that we're fighting, might have been a viable strategy, but it's kind of in the past now. I wanted to make sure that we recouped some of the gil that we had, because I knew that we needed to buy a full set of lustrous equipment for Cecil, and that was a worthy investment in my humble opinion, with this 1400 HP and utter tankiness now. Can we cross rivers? We can't. Okay. In 3, whenever you went to go cross rivers, you had a folding canoe, which was interesting. Now, I believe that Baron had some upgraded gear. It was either that or the item shop was locked. One of those 2 things. So we're going to double back and have a look, just to see if we can afford to kit Cid out a little bit before we get underway. Aha! Okay, they don't sell any weapons he can use, but that's fine. What about armor? They sure do. Okay. Kenpogi is a little pricey, but we can afford it, so let's grab one. Headband, definitely worth it. Silver armlet. I don't know if that's equipable by Cid. Might be an easy way to find out, though. Let's go... It's interesting that his offhand is listed... Oh, no, it is the same with Tella. I was going to say, it's listed as empty as though he could wear a shield or a second weapon, but Tella can't, and his is listed as empty as well. So, I am wondering... Let us remove this silver armlet from Tella real quick. Cid cannot equip it, so we don't have to buy one to find out. Yeah. Doesn't seem he can wear armlets at all. Out of curiosity, can he wear the ruby ring? He sure can. Alright, well, a little bit of gear should go a long way for him, so we're going to go ahead and set out and kind of find out what it is that he can do. What that hammer do. Now, Sorry, multiple trains of thought there. The first thing that I will typically do when I acquire the airship in these games is just kind of go around and fill out the map a little bit. So let's go ahead and just do that so we have a better picture of the world around us. This is probably all ocean. Now, is this a staple with a lot of the Final Fantasy titles, is that once some kind of open-world exploration becomes available, the developers love to put little Easter eggs all over the world. I see here a house of some kind that we haven't visited before, as well as a cave system. Looks like all of that has the little shoal things, which makes them traversable via hovercraft. Although I don't see any way to connect to the other islands just yet. Now, a prime example of the Easter eggs found in the world could be probably Final Fantasy VII is the most notable example for me, since it was one of my first games as a young kid. There are parts of the world that you straight up can't get to without breeding specialized chocobos to traverse different types of terrain. And as some of you are no doubt aware, the reward for doing that is a special kind of materia called the Knights of the Round Summon, which is the most coveted offensive summon materia in the game. I see here we have a castle that I flew over and a small town next to it. Big spooky looking forest. Let's fill out the northern part of the map first. Great big cove here. Love me a great big cove. Let's see. Just zip across the top of the map real quick here. Nothing says feels good, man, quite like a fully filled in map, in my humble opinion. A little further. With nothing around you to gauge by, it's hard to know how far you have to fly. There we go. Land ho! Now we head west. If I recall, Mysidia was over here, right? Yep, there's Mysidia. We got a whole corner of the map we haven't seen yet, folks. Look at this. What do we got here? Another mysterious house-looking thing. On its own little island, no less. Got another small continent, by the looks of it, over here. Ooh. What could this be? Very mysterious. For those wondering, yes, I am aware of what each of these are, but you'll have to wait and find out if this is your first time experiencing Final Fantasy IV. little bit more of the map to go, and there. I do believe that is our fully completed map. So with that said, let us do the next thing that you do when you have access to an airship, which is fly around and land on places you arguably shouldn't. My first target is typically isolated islands. They are, in my experience, the least likely to be tied into the main quest line. So we're going to start with this humble-looking place here. Oops. And when in doubt, solid advice is always, before you poke it, save your game. Let's go have a look. Agart. Agart? I don't know, man. Hello! This is the village of Agart. We are people of a dwarven lineage, but not dwarves, I see. I wonder if I'm short because I'm part dwarf. Or it could be you're part 12 years old, you know. What have we here? A potion. Never know when that might come in handy, guys. There's a village in Final Fantasy III that this reminds me of a little bit. There's a little boy who's hanging out in the southwestern part of town, and he'll tell you to basically go catch a chocobo and circle the floating continent, which at that point we don't know is the floating continent. And if you do, he'll give you an item. How did our forefathers come to live here, you ask? I'll tell you how. Dear me, I seem to have forgotten. Excellent. The item that he gives you, I believe, is gnomish bread, which, whatever you think it does, you're wrong. Gnomish bread, when you eat it, will display the map, because unlike Final Fantasy IV, where you have a map button, in Final Fantasy III, you had to eat gnomish bread, because reasons. Welcome! This is where Kai is going to regret stopping to buy items, perhaps. Oh, boomerangs. Interesting. Now, if you might have guessed this already, but certain weapons do their full damage potential from the back row, as opposed to suffering the 50% damage penalty. Obviously, that applies to bows, but it also applies to the boomerang, and in some versions of Final Fantasy, a weapon called the Moonring Blade, which is a melee weapon typically assigned to, like, the ninja class, which allows them to take full advantage of the back row for its defensive buffs and still hit like a truck. Ooh, okay. So I can see here that Sid, my boy, can equip an iron shield. So we might go ahead and grab one, but let's look through here. It's an iron helm. I don't think I want to gain 2 defense at the cost of 1 magic defense and 10 evasion. Let's not do that. Iron gloves. Beautiful. Let's grab those. And the iron shield. Yeah, alright. Sid, my boy. Might have helped if I'd actually put the Kenpogi on him. Question mark. So out of curiosity here, he has 9 defense and 3 magic defense, compared to 20 and 9, 11 and 10, 11 and 9. So he's not especially beefy. But his strength at level 20 is roughly the equivalent of Cecil's at level 24. So I'm willing to bet he's gonna hit pretty hard. Give enemies a walloping with his mallet. Muriel, get my mallet! Alright, let's see here. I'm really strong. Okay. I don't doubt it, little one. Our forefathers came from a world which is now closed to us. Their world had its own sun, which they called magma. Not long past, I saw something red disappear into the crater in the northern mountains. Ominous. Hey, it's Wandering Oaken and his cousin, Wandering Oaken. Ah, you're the item shop. Let's grab a few more Phoenix Downs, because those never hurt to have on hand. Couple more Echo Herbs. Probably good on everything else, honestly. We're a little bit frugal with our items, so go ahead and rest up. Who's this lady, and why is she watching us sleep? Hello! The outside world is embroiled in conflict, but aside from the occasional earthquake, life in Agart is quite peaceful. X to doubt. What do you sell? Gisel Greens. Oh, Bomb Fragment, Zeus Wrath, Antarctic Winds, and Bestiaries. So if I were hellbent on recovering these items to try to take advantage of Cid's special ability, this would be where I could do that. I'm going to try to file that away as a mental note here, but I feel like Cid's probably not going to be a permanent party member, so I may not invest too heavily in that. There's a chasm to the north where they came from, and you can't get there unless you can fly. How convenient. Alright, well, I don't think there's any more information and or items to be gleaned from our visit here in Agart, so let's get gone. A chasm to the north, you say? What should happen? Should we fly straight north? We end up at Barren. Mysterious. Perhaps they meant far, far to the north, and not just due north. Well, remember there was a little island that looked like it was accessible via hovercraft? Let's head over there and see what mysteries await us. A little further north than this. Right here. The town of Mithril. Look at the tiny people. They think we're giants. Interestingly, their buildings are human-sized. Convenient for us, I would say. Why don't we have a chat with this innocent-looking pig? Now, historically, Mithril, as you might expect if you're a fan of Tolkien, is a coveted and efficacious metal, let's say, in the Final Fantasy franchise. It tends to vary as to what tier it is based on which game in the franchise you're playing, but in some games it's pretty close to end-game material. We have a small guy here who wishes his daughter was ugly because it would make his life easier. 500 gil for an inn stay? You're out of your mind. A guard only wanted 50 gil. It's highway robbery. Hey, a frog. About halfway at the item shop. Pretty much the items that you would expect. Now, interestingly, the mallet item in this game, which incidentally we could use a few more of those, so let's stock up. Now, the mallet item in this game only removes the mini status, but in Final Fantasy III it actually applied or removed it, and there were instances where you actually needed to have the mini status to progress the story. Oh, upgraded elemental items. If for some reason you like your fire spells to cost 1200 gil instead of 15 MP, there's your option, I guess. Let's have a look. They're the Mithril brothers. Are you ready for this? I mean, anything that includes the Chocobo theme is S tier in my books. Well, cool. I just found a mithril knife in the grass, I guess. Already talked to this guy. Oh. And a mithril staff. Look at that. What do you suppose that is in terms of an upgrade? So it looks like staves are meant more for the use of white magic, and rods are more useful for black magic. We'll hang on to that in case we have a white mage joining us. Wink, wink. Let's see, we want... That's not what we wanted to do at all. Interesting. So the mithril knife seems to have the same amount of damage as the Mythgraven blade, and it's more accurate and adds 1 to the speed stat at the cost of 3 spirit and 30 attack. Now, I don't pretend to know exactly what the attack stat does. It seems to be independent of accuracy. My guess is that strength and attack act as some kind of multipliers for damage, so we're going to leave that alone, I think. Perhaps we'll find somebody for whom a knife is a better fit, but it's certainly not meant to be Cecil. What else you got? Oinkers, give me your best equipment. Okay, yeah, so everything here is fairly pricey, as one might expect. I may do a little bit of leveling and guild grinding off-screen, which is, incidentally, probably what I would have done this week, but we have a pretty good idea of where we can get some gear upgrades, and honestly, Cid is fairly well kitted out for somebody who just joined the party. Let's see. That's an upgrade of 7 defense, and that's an upgrade of 4. And that's an upgrade of 8, but we can't afford it. Looking at Cid, by the way, sorry if that wasn't clear. It certainly seems like it's going to be somewhere in the ballpark of 42,000 gil to get these two upgraded and outfitted. 44 if we spring for the mithril gloves. That's quite the investment. We're going to skip that for now. We're going to just file away mentally that this is where that was located. We could decide to be super cheap and not invest the extra gil in Cid at all and just bank on him being a more temporary party member, since presumably we'll get Rosa back at some point. So that being said, we've explored here. We visited this little island here. There's that continent with the mysterious-looking tower. But our goal is to visit the Kingdom of Earth. Now, if I told you that I remembered exactly where they told us to go to facilitate that, I would certainly be lying. But we do know, by process of elimination, that this is Fabul, this is Damsian, this is the Oasis, this is... come on, Brain, you can do this. This is Baron. This is the town that we just visited. This is Mysidia. This is Mount Ordeals. So that doesn't leave very many places that it could be. It's either this continent here, or this sprawling expanse up here. An educated guess is going to take me to the northwest. And if nothing else, I really want to check out that castle and the town next to the spooky-looking forest. The castle also seems a dead ringer for a civilization protecting the Earth Crystal. If you recall, there was some sort of stronghold protecting the other crystals that we've seen so far, such as Fabul and its Wind Crystal ? Let's see here. Ah, we are too far north. Follow the river. The river opens up into this basin here. I forget. Video game makers don't necessarily follow IRL logic, so building a town next to a river, who would do that? Lots and lots and lots of forest up here. Am I allowed to land here? No. Okay. Oh, I see. We're at that portion of the game where if there's somewhere that they don't want you to go just yet, it just won't be possible to land anywhere nearby. So I'm not meant to visit this cave because I don't currently have the means to get there. Let's check this little island over here. Oh, I'll bet you that's a chocobo forest. Almost positive of it. Yep. I don't know why they would let me catch a chocobo over here. Probably more useful as a waypoint to restore your MP. All right then. How about here? We haven't tried this yet. Mist. You remember Mist, right? We haven't been here since we accidentally killed Rydia's mom. Wandering the void. Doesn't seem to be anything over there. I harbor doubts we'll find anything worth finding in Mist. Let's probably just skedaddle on out of here. An Eidolon whose blade can cleave even solid steel is set to slumber beneath Barren Castle. Intriguing. I don't know if we actually visited the item shop when we were here last. I think as soon as we wandered into Mist, it pretty much just got annihilated. A Bard's Tunic. Unfortunately, we haven't seen our Bard in some time. A Whip. Whip. And a Dancing Dagger. I swear, if the Whip goes to Rosa, I might riot. Alright, let's get out of here. And this cave was the passageway, right? Yeah, Mist Cave. Well, here's an opportunity to see how Sid's damage stacks up with his 0 MP. So 1,000 from Cecil. 1,200 from Yang. That seems appropriate. 1,100 from Sid. So he's definitely on par with the others in terms of how hard he hits. Plus he's several levels behind, so he definitely feels like he's going to fill our Berserker archetype. Possibly comparable to the Viking class from Final Fantasy III. Low speed, high vitality, high strength. And like, basically no, what's the word I'm looking for? No utility. Vikings had Provoke, though, which was pretty useful. Let's see. So I already seem to have lost track of that castle near the spooky forest. I could have sworn that it was right in this area here. Perhaps I'm misremembering, though, and it's over here. That's Baron. Baron, Mist. Huge, sprawling forest. Like, really, that is just a ridiculous amount of forest. Oh. Can we land here? We sure can't. Need a surprising amount of space to land this bad boy. Oh, here we go. Troya. This is where we were going. The Kingdom of Earth. Sylvan Streams. If you look closely, she appears to have pointed ears. So we've met the descendants of the dwarves, and we appear to be in elf country. Noticing some parallels between this and Gielinor, the world on which the RuneScape storyline takes place. The Elven lands are deeply forested and held far to the west. And if that's not derivative of some Tolkien lore, I don't believe you. Let's see. Fire Shard, Frost Shard, and Thunder Shard. There seems to be quite an emphasis between Sid's special ability and these new weapons for Cecil, which, how to put it, this is our destination, and they're selling weapons that are elementally aspected but have lower attack damage for Cecil. The emphasis on elemental aspects would seem to imply that we have something coming up which is going to be kind of a janky elemental fight. MMOs typically have at least one. Spheromorph in Final Fantasy X, Magus in Chrono Trigger, and many others. Final Fantasy III had Amon, which you may remember from the Crystal Tower in Final Fantasy XIV. Amon in Final Fantasy III was the opportunity to showcase the Scholar class, who was otherwise objectively useless for the remainder of the game. It had the built-in Libra ability, which is the only way to get it other than using special items. And you were meant to use it to check Amon's weaknesses, because if you hit him with anything other than the element he was aspected to, he would counterattack and wreck your day. But yes, it does definitely seem to imply that something of that caliber is going to be on the horizon. So we may make note of that and stubbornly refuse to prepare for it, because honestly, we have Tella. If they have specific elemental weaknesses, we'll just have Tella nuke them. Oh, ethers, there you go. Decoys. Now what on earth would a decoy do? It casts Blink. I don't know if anybody legitimately knows Blink at the moment. I'm sure Tella probably doesn't. So we don't have that on hand, I don't think, to be able to check. Oh, there it is. Physical attack avoidance. That's about what you would expect, I think. Oh? Dry ether? Do I already have some dry ether? Oh, it's just a better ether. Because of course it is. See, it pays to wander around and be a bit of a magpie. With those items in hand, we are even more prepared to fight something that has an elemental mechanic to it, because we can just feed ethers to Tella. Now, granted, he is also currently our healer, but we have a decent stock of items, so, you know, probably be alright. Members Writ. Permits entry to the King's Bounty Pub in Troya. That costs 100,000 gil. I don't have a Members Writ. We got an interesting little bit of dialogue just there. In case you missed it. Oh, Stella, how I love you. Hey, wait a minute, Stella. You're not really a woman, are you? And this woman, presumably Stella. Oh my, you're a cute one, aren't you? Why don't you let Stella have a closer look at you, And then this older-looking lady. What say you young fellows spend a few hours with me? I'll show you a good time. Come now, don't give me that face. Okay, Square Enix. Go to horny jail. He's just regaling her with tales of his exploits from years past. Members only, get out. The women want furs. Alright, well, if you want access to the good stock at the brothel, I guess you have to be prepared to drop a good 100k. Oh, hey, Jammingway. You have a date, or rather two. I promised 2 different ladies I'd go out with them. Having abandoned my music for other pursuits, I suppose I can remain jamming way no more. Jamming way became cheating way, the 2-timer. Uh-oh. I have to extricate myself from this mess somehow. Please, Cecil, you have to help me. I'll make it worth your while, I promise. I just need you to go to the pub for me. Talk to the lady who works at the bar there and buy me a little time. While you keep her there, I'll take my first date someplace else. Please, I'm counting on you. Kinda don't feel like getting involved with cheating way. The Black Chocobo Nursery. Excuse me while I avail myself of your secret passage. That's what she said. The Black Chocobo, being a variety of recent discovery resembling its fair-feathered cousin save for its sable plumage. Yeah, this is an interesting part of Final Fantasy lore for me, because I've always wished that Chocobos were, they existed in the real world. Chocobos are cute. They're a little stinky, though. They are implied to be heavily musky, for whatever reason. Interesting. So it's implied that there are black chocobos to the north, chocobos being obviously land critters, but the black variety can fly, a trait that they share with other incarnations of the black chocobo, such as the ones found in Final Fantasy Tactics. So perhaps that cave that I was unable to enter earlier would be accessible if I found my way to a black chocobo. That way I could fly over there, land, and then walk to the cave. First, before we help Cheating Way extricate himself from a dilemma of his own making, let's go ahead and save real quick. Just in case the furry little bastard tries to take all my gil again. You really can never be sure with him. Let's see. Go talk to the person that runs the shop. Could I trouble you for some milk? Of course. Milk drinker. There you are, sir. Is there something on your mind? Not really. Oh, hello. So now the Fat Chocobo is not only the place where we can rewatch certain cutscenes, but also where we can listen to all the music that Cheating Way, formerly known as Jamming Way, used to hold on to for us. Well, I guess that's pretty much it for his current quest line until we bump into him again. Unless I'm very much mistaken, there doesn't seem to be anything else left here in town, so I think that means it's time to head over to the castle. Wonder how we're gonna go about this. Hey, sorry, but we need to steal your kingdom's most prized possession to go free my girlfriend. May you find respite within our walls. A survivor of the assault on Damsian was found and washed up on the shore. Claims to be a prince. Oh, so perhaps our bard friend will be here. You guys aren't sure you'd be able to defend yourselves during an attack. That's probably not a good sign. Oh, those are famous last words, buddy. before we go talk to the people we need to talk to, time to see if there's anything in the castle worth getting. The infirmary. Mind your voices, the injured rest within. You've never known war, how'd they get injured? Oh, Prince Edward's here. That must be his harp. Yep. Edward! Troya's Earth Crystal is already gone, stolen by a Dark Elf, which we probably would know if we'd talked to the Chancellor first. Whoops. The only way you can accompany us now. Please take it with us. Whisperweed. Ah, Whisperweed, as we found out visiting the nearby town of Troya, is used for basically ventriloquism. What effect does it have as an item in our inventory? Seems like it might perhaps be a key item. Sure is. All right. No, everybody's women. I guess that's why your armor is mauve-colored. Because game that was made in the 80s. Interesting. The hell are we? The basement, for reasons unknown. Excuse me while I take some wine from an urn I found in the castle basement without asking anyone. Troya Castle Basement 1. They're not going to care if I take all their treasures from the basement, right? Like this tent, and this other tent. And a high potion, and the other high potion. They all come in pairs. And this ether, and this other ether, and a ruby ring, and guess what? This other ruby ring. Okay. Just totter my way into the throne room carrying all the treasures they used to have in the basement like sup. Let's see. This is the jail, I presume? Oh, it's a storage vault. Have they given you permission to enter? Nope, they haven't. Oh, you're honest. Kind of. I honestly stole all your items from the other room, but... Shush. An interestingly idyllic place. An elven paradise ruled entirely by women where there are no crimes that happen so that they don't even need a dungeon anymore, and they've never known war. This is our battle uniform. It affords little protection, but it provides mobility, and it's fashionable. That's an interesting way to justify 1980s booby armor. Should you enter the Lodestone Cavern to the northeast with any metal weapons or armor, the magnetic field will render you nearly immobile. Interesting, because there was somebody in the town of Troya who mentioned that he brought an iron lockbox with him for mining, and it stuck fast to the floor and refused to budge despite his best efforts. We'll try to file away that little nugget of information. We can't give you the Earth Crystal, but we can lend it to you, but you gotta go get it first. Northeast is where the thief of a dark elf apparently went. Dark elves are extremely vulnerable to weapons forged of metal. The one who stole the crystal has turned the walls of his cave to lodestone, erecting a powerful magnetic field as a means of protection. Ah yes, the crystal chamber, where the crystal is, as you might have guessed, currently missing. Well, okay then. So this raises kind of the interesting conundrum. What counts as metal equipment? Now clearly Sid's iron shield and iron gloves would count, but his wooden hammer, his headband, and his kenpo-gi almost certainly wouldn't. I'm not entirely sure what the knight's armor, lustrous helm, lustrous shield, and mythgraven blade are made of, but my money's on metal, so... Further, what happens mechanically, as far as the game is concerned, should you approach with metal weapons? Does it just cast slow on your party? Does it cast immobilize? Will it not let you in the dungeon if you have metal items equipped? Mysteries to solve. Well, let us start by quickly saving the game. Just with what we have equipped and in our inventories, we'll kind of start the trek north here. See what we have to work with. Corals, never a good sign, especially if they have the instant death ability that they are known for. But with only 700 HP, that's probably less of an issue. I'd forgotten we actually turned down the battle speed to go deal with that other boss. We might actually leave it there for now. Young is level 25. Actually, come to think of it, Cecil has 52k total XP. Tella at 79, my god. Young at 58, and Sid at 26, so he's got roughly 30k-ish XP to catch up to the rest of the party. I thought maybe if we follow the path something cool would happen, but shows what I know. Ooh, is that, Phantom, the Pokemon? I think you just cast Stop, basically. We cast Petrify on Tella. Alright. Can we just kill him before anything bad happens? Yeah, basically. Okay. Tella's way ahead in XP anyway, so I'm not going to feel too bad about him missing a battle. But it's a good thing we brought some gold needles with us. Northeast, they said, to the cavern. Now, if they're talking about the one I tried to land on earlier, that's no dice until we find a way to get there, possibly a black chocobo. Yes, we've got Tella in defense mode currently. As potent as his spells are, his paltry 90 MP leaves a little bit to be desired. So I'd rather keep him in reserve for now with these 3 bruisers just cleaning up. Well, we'll try heading northeast anyway, even if we can't quite get to our destination there, and just see what lies in wait. I think that's a piranha plant. Yeah, these guys are really doing plenty enough damage for the trash mobs. And at 800 XP a whack, you're looking at, well, let's see, 120% of 30 battles, roughly. So, excuse me while I fail at math, but that's 36 battles, I think, to get roughly the amount of XP needed to get Sid caught up. I don't imagine that will take much time off screen. Look at that. Already got a level up. Achievement unlocked. Catching on. Doesn't look like we're going to be able to get any further to the northeast, as we expected. Now, I have that working theory about an enemy coming up that has elemental jankiness to deal with, let's say. Now, with this additional component of metal equipment not being effective, useful, whatever mechanic it's going to be, with it being implied to not be helpful in the dungeon to come, it does kind of make me wonder if the elemental swords that they're selling in the last town for Cecil are considered to not be metal. Perhaps they're gemstone or rock of some kind. Kind of a reach, honestly. I'm not sure how one would know that. Oh, you know what? We can actually use Cecil for in-between battle healing. How cool is that? Not like we're going to use his MP in battle anyway, and he has more MP than Tella does. I think that kind of makes him our other healer, so that really just lends credence to the idea that if we do have an elemental boss to deal with, we can just use Tella to nuke them while Cecil just sits back and heals. But who knows, maybe I'm underestimating the challenge. He looks like a Rankin Bass character, doesn't he? Especially the bwahaha animation he has for his laughing. Well, I don't think there's much of anything else that we're going to be able to find on this section of land and on foot. We may have to look around a little bit to see if there's something to that black chocobo rumor that was floating around. I know that the chocobo forest to the east was just a normal chocobo forest. Didn't seem to be any black chocobo about. Oh, but you know what? That looks suspiciously like a chocobo forest. Have we got a way to get there on foot? Yes, we do. At least I believe we do. Just trying to be as much of a time waste as possible, I see. Surprise! Oh, and a mallet. Perhaps as somebody who's played RPGs for most of my life, I tend to read quite a bit into things that sometimes you don't necessarily have to. So I find these enemies around here dropping mallets, despite the fact that the status ailments that they inflict are not cured by mallet. And it makes me wonder if perhaps we have enemies that inflict the mini status effect coming up. Or if it's just random loot tables. You never know. Aha, so this looks like a chocobo forest. Oh, it's a chocobo village. Fascinating. And would you look at that, it's a black chocobo. Can't fly over mountains. Can fly over deep water and land. Can it land in a forest? It sure can, and it will stay right there. How cool is that? All right, well, let's top off everybody's HP. And while it is something of a shame to admit, I'm afraid we have reached the end of our 1-hour segment for today. I know it wasn't quite as exciting and plot-packed as a few of our previous episodes, and you have my apologies for that. Some of this was meant to be some off-screen exploration, but honestly, as soon as the world opens up to some open-world airship exploration, there's a certain amount of joy that I feel deserves to be shared for that. If there is a demand for it, we will have a bonus segment, but otherwise, I can expect to see you back next Thursday for some more Kai Plays, where we'll tackle this mysterious cave here and see what effect that's going to have on our dudes wearing metal armor. In the meantime, I want to thank you so much for joining in each week. Remember that we do have Sunday Fun Day festivities coming up this coming Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 5 p.m. Central. And in the meantime, this is Kai signing off. We'll see you in Eorzea, and may you ever walk in the light of the crystal.